everyone. Thank you very much for joining me for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. Here we are, 2023, and so much to look forward to. I'm really thrilled today because I have a wonderful friend of mine whom I've known for many years. We have worked together for many years, Dalia Bergsagel. Dalia is a diamond consultant with her husband, Eric, out of the UK. They have an international business, and they have won the European International Consultant of the Year award several times, many times. So they are wonderful, wonderful leaders in our Nikken world, creating wellness and health and wealth with others. So Dalia, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm thrilled. I know you're in Israel at the moment. I know you go back and forth between England and Israel. You have grandkids there. I know you are with them a lot, and we talk about that. How are you doing? I know it's nighttime for you. How are you?
It's nighttime and it gets dark so early. I get so confused. Yes, everything's fine.
Everything's fine, and family's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're enjoying your grandkids.
Loving them. One is the older one is 5 years old. The younger one is 2, and there's one cooking in a tummy in New York.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Congratulations. I think I am also a grandmother of 4 now, and I really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. So
it's very special.
Very special connection. Yeah. Super. Well, let's get into talking about, we're going to talk a little bit about your background in health and wellness and how you found Nikken and your experience with the products. And then I'd like us to talk about team building specifically and about how we empower ourselves and how we empower each other. So let's just start with your background in health. How did you, I don't even know how you got into health in the first instance.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I always had 2 hats. So I have the art, originally it was art, graphic design and art direction. And now the art is mostly painting with fabrics and normal paintings. And the interest in health was there for many, many years in the background. My mom did a weekend course in London in reflexology, and that was amazing when she started working on me. And then I said, okay, I heard about Shiatsu. I lived in San Diego then. I heard about Shiatsu. And I said, well, that's like reflexology for the whole body. I like that. And I really enjoyed the treatment. And then I decided one day when I grow up, I will do a course. And then I think when I was 38 or 39, I took that on and I studied for 3.5 years and practiced for a few years, I practiced. And what happened was my Shiatsu teachers were all involved in Nikken and were telling me about Nikken. I didn't want to hear. Of course, I just graduated from Shiatsu. I don't want to hear about anything else. And then my back started. I had 3 months of back problems that basically I couldn't work, I couldn't sit in front of the computer, I couldn't sit and give a shiatsu, sit on the floor. For 3 months, I was just really miserable. And then my shiatsu teacher gave me a belt and the MagFlex to use on my back while we were in a meeting. She invited me for a Nikken meeting, and it was so amazing, that meeting, that I still, 24 years later, remember the product experiences that people stood up and shared.
Yes.
And at lunchtime, she said, is it not interesting for you, Dalia? And I said, no, it's interesting. Why are you saying? And she said, because you keep moving around all the time. And I said, well, it's my back. I can't sit still because I need to move all the time. She said, you still have the back problem? let me use this. And she takes the belt and the Macflex off her back. She gives it to me. And within 20 minutes, I'm sitting properly. I'm sitting and I can concentrate. Something's really, really fundamental happening there. I felt energy moving around in an area which was totally dead for 3 months. Wow. Something was happening. There was a shift.
Yes.
I got really excited. I didn't want to borrow hers. I said, no, I'm going to purchase mine. And then realized that it will be better to purchase it as a distributor. And I was so excited. And I started telling everybody, I got my life back. And I started telling everybody, but people were asking, my goodness, you're walking, are you better? What happened? You know, people knew I was so unwell. And then people start to talk to me about the business. You're so excited about this product. You know, there's a business and I don't want anything to do with business. I have enough. I'm working 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. I was then working as an art director for children's books, full-time and a half. And then basically 2 full-time jobs. And then the Shiatsu, about 20 treatments a week. I mean, I was working and there was children. Children, it was a lot. And then I was saying, well, I don't want to sell products. I'm not a good salesperson. I had this, you know, yes. Which of course I was, because I wasn't selling. I wasn't setting out in the morning, I'm going to sell so and so. No, it was all about, how can I help you?
That's right. That's right.
Use this. How can I help you?
Absolutely.
And yeah, you know, and I said, well, no, I want to have products that I can give people. So I want to buy a mattress pad to give people to use. And then I don't have to sell them anything. They just use it and the products do the work.
That's right, Dalia. That's exactly how I felt about it as well. I mean, such a similar story, because I had the back issue, the products helped and I couldn't believe it. And then I had the same feeling, like I'm not good at selling and I don't want to sell, but I love helping people. So if I get people on these products, it's going to work, because the products they're going to work and people will be amazed. And that's exactly what happened. So we have a very similar background. And by the way, I think I forgot to tell you that Shanoa, my eldest daughter, whom you've met, she is now a Shiatsu practitioner. She did all her training.
Oh, really?
Yes,
nice.
In Switzerland, and she's moved from yoga over to Shiatsu. And so, yes. And then I just talked to Paul Lambeth, who's also Shiatsu practitioner in England. And yeah, in terms of doing a podcast with him, Platinum. So nice. It's just fantastic. One of the things I realized was, with natural healthcare, all of us are so passionate about it, that it's not always easy to make a living that way. And so the joy of being able to combine, because I was doing energy healing work, right? And crystals and all like therapeutic touch and polarity therapy, that I couldn't make a lot of money with that, but that combining that with Nikken, that Nikken could provide the stability financially for being able to do all those things and not be worried about how much one charged for a session and so forth. And I felt that was, and as you know, of course, most of the team that you built and I built was also, most of them were natural healthcare practitioners of one type or another. When I've really looked at the key leaders in the business, they came from a background in natural health. Not to say that there aren't fantastic consultants that are super successful that don't have that background, because of course there are. But many of us, it was like once the penny dropped, we could put the jigsaw puzzle pieces together and say, oh, wow, this is sort of what we're doing with people one-on-one, but how about helping, many through building a team, helping thousands versus 10 a week or something, or 20 a week. You said 20 shiatsus a week.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I saw that. It took me a while because I didn't want to hear about it.
Yes.
And then I really understood, because so many people bought products for me. And I don't say I sold so many products, I say so many people bought products for me, because I really wasn't setting out to sell. Yes. I'm there to help, to show them another way. It's another tool in my toolbox. When you leave my treatment, it's only 1 hour. When you leave my treatment, if you sleep on a sleep system, you drink the water, if you have the insoles, you have the necklaces, you sit on a seat, it's like you have a shiatsu, 24 hours around. And also what I found that the treatment lasted the benefits of the treatment lasted much longer.
Yes.
Thanks to these technologies. So I could actually sometimes say goodbye to some people because they felt better and they didn't feel they needed to see me every week, maybe once a month, or maybe even not. So then more people could come. I felt that I could help more people that way, that I helped the products helped so many people that they didn't need my support. Sometimes I felt like they needed me too much like a crutch.
Yes.
Which I didn't really like.
Yes.
That empowered them to actually use the products themselves and not be dependent on me. And because the body starts working in a better way. The body just works better.
I've never said this, but it's true, because when I used to do my energy work, a lot of it was working on the chakra systems, the energy system, the auric field, and opening everything up where it would get blocked. And I would notice that if people were on the products day and night afterwards, then when they would come back, their system, the energy system was flowing already, and it was much easier to do the work with them and take them to a further level. So you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I felt that when I worked with a Mag Duo at the beginning of a treatment, the treatment was a totally different experience. The body was open and ready for the treatment and responding better, as if it were like the second or the third treatment. Yes. But it was the first treatment.
Yes.
And other practitioners, there was other body energy and energy people, practitioners, who basically felt the same, that when people come back for the second and the third and the fourth treatment, they are in better shape than they would have expected, because they were on a sleep system and insoles.
The wellness home, which we've used ever since, right? The wellness home is one of the most brilliant concepts I've ever come across in my life. Because it covers all the ground, right? The night, the day, the daytime products, the water, the air, the sleep. It's brilliant. And it keeps us just in optimum possibility of health. And so long as we eat well and we exercise and go for treatments when we need to a shiatsu practitioner or an energy healer.
Absolutely. Yes.
We're good to go.
The products will never come instead of somebody putting their hands on you and feeling where you need. It doesn't come instead of a treatment.
Yes.
It enhances it. It helps the people. It doesn't come instead, and that's really important to say, because when you have a human being listening to you and feeling your body, it's different than this. But this is a tool in our toolbox. And what I saw is what you said, that instead of 20 treatments a week, if my friend tells their cousin in California about it and they start using the products, then look where I've reached. And you can reach many, many, many countries all over the world, and people you don't even know. People who wouldn't come. I mean, for instance, I had somebody very stressed who's a parent at my kids' school in London, and you could see that he's so stressed. I mean, we were just in a summer fair in school, and he said to me he really enjoyed. I gave like half an hour shiatsu treatments. And he really enjoyed it. And he said, but Dalia, I can't come and see you and get treatments. Even if you come to me, I don't have the time to pick up the phone and make a phone call to call you to make an appointment. That's how busy and stressed I am.
Wow.
So for somebody like that, okay, you start sleeping on a sleep system, you start using the water and the nutritionals. I mean, my goodness, the jade green enzymes, the lactoferrin, the main, oh, wow. I mean,
we don't go a day without them, right? I haven't
No.
gone a day without jade green enzymes in 27 years. Not
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And some of the others as well,
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. So I started seeing the big vision of helping more and more people than I could with a couple of hands.
Yes.
With Shiatsu.
Yes.
So,
that's an inspiring realization, isn't it? And I think you and I, we were so aligned and are so aligned on that idea of like, if you really want to help the world to heal and be happier and better, the idea of getting it out to thousands versus just a few, it's so beautiful for the heart. The heart just is happy with that thought, and it really does happen, and you've made it happen, and I've made it happen. It's beautiful. I think it allows one to feel really on purpose in life and good about being here, good about your contribution, because ultimately everything is about service, really. How can we help each other? How can we help our world? So let's talk about that a little bit in terms of teams and building teams and how you see that, and I find it just fascinating. So let's kind of go there.
I think for me, building a team is also the service.
Yes.
It's not just the service of the products. For me, I saw it as a service to people. And my job was to show them the benefits. And I really think the most important thing, if I'm looking at my 24 years, from 1998, how can I make a difference to people?
Yeah.
On the 5 pillars of health. There may not be in a place where their interest, like I wasn't in the beginning, they may not be there. They may only be interested in one part, like only in the business. Only, but that's why we have the 5 pillars of health. Sorry, I've got tickle in my throat, I'm sorry.
No,
it's looking at their life in 5 pillars of health and where they are, but it's not about interrogating them. It's a conversation, it's listening, it's being there for people and conversing. Do you know what I remember when we first started? You were saying that you, as a dancer, it's a dance with people. And I really, sometimes I would sit with people and talk through a translator many times and feel that we're dancing. They're saying things and I ask more and they say more. It's about listening and not thinking in their head, what am I going to say now? But being there 100% for them. For me, that was a really, that's a thread throughout everything, which also in my personal life is changed a lot thanks to Nikken, because I've gone a lot personally, emotionally, thanks to Nikken, thanks to humans being more and everything, and I see that as one big thing that is really changed in me thanks to Nikken.
Humans being more is so powerful as a core piece of what we do in Nikken, because we do, I mean, it's all about growth and transformation. And hopefully in life, we're constantly growing, constantly transforming, constantly becoming a human being more, a human being more. And I want to touch back on, so the dance, I know that, we all have our great gifts, everybody has their key gifts, In fact, I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Genius Myth. I'm going to show it here. It's The Genius Myth by Michael Meade, who's an amazing storyteller. You would love him, mythologist. He has a podcast. And it's all about that every human being has these intrinsic gifts to bring forward, and they're deep in us. And we need to kind of discover them. And that's part of that hero's journey. But the more disconnected we are from nature, the more we disconnect from our inner nature. So there's a connection between going deep into the inner nature and our literal connection to nature, which of course in Nikken, we're always talking about reconnection with nature, harmony with nature. Like that's a fundamental principle, right? So with this, it gets me so excited because I know with Nikken, I thought, well, I know how to dance and play music, so I'm going to do it this way. But my friend Joni Spear, who's a diamond in Nikken, her gift was jazz and singing. So I was like, why don't you do it like you do your jazz? Do Nikken like you do the thing that you're really good at. Like just superimpose one on the other. Now, how have you seen that for you in your life? And how
I heard you in a training saying that, because I was like, who am I to do business? You know, I was a freelance designer, but I didn't think of myself as a business woman. And I was like, okay, whatever I excelled in my life. Yes. And I could see three careers. The art, three different incidences rather that I was thinking about. It was the art, which was then sort of patchwork. It was being an art director for children's books, and being a mom. If I start with being a mom, I can see now what I did naturally was to empower, to compliment. Oh, that's really, I remember my son at 2 years old taking the pen and drawing little scribbles, little shapes that looked like nothing. And I was there saying, oh, that's interesting. What is that? And that, and oh, that's really interesting. Turns out they weren't just scribbles. It was a rabbit running away from a hunter. And he had a whole story there. And other people say, oh, that's nice. Well done. But not more. And I remember asking me, and suddenly this whole thing came out from this tiny little boy who just learned to speak. And there's a whole thing. And I wrote it all down in the back of that piece of paper, and kept it. Yes. And so it was about well done, and empowering and congratulating and noticing things that they did well, and starting a conversation about that. And because that's very much what Nikken is about.
Yes.
So you see your distributors, your consultants working and doing things, and so well done for doing that. That was a good thing that you asked this and you said that, and it's a human beings. It's really important. It's a business, yes, of people.
Yes.
Together.
And it's highlighting what they're doing right? Highlighting the positive, which we all need. All of us need that to be mirrored. Yes. In the positive, because we have a voice that's saying, I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that. And that voice is there. So, and we would never talk to somebody else the way we talk to ourselves. We can be very harsh with ourselves. So when we get the mirroring from another, the edification, what we teach in Nikken about edifying is highlighting all those wonderful gifts that we can see in them that they may not see in themselves, or may not have given themselves a pat on the back for. That's big. We don't give ourselves pats on the back, not at all. Somebody today, this morning, I was walking around, there was a graffiti. Somebody was wrote down,
with the feminine, saying to women, to a woman, they wrote down, start loving yourself unconditionally like you love everybody else. So that was this morning.
Wow. For people to succeed in Nikken and really, rise up through the ranks as you have so fabulously with Eric, is fundamentally you have to have the self-worth in place, and then others can empower you so it will grow more, and then you can empower others so their self-worth will grow more. Because if people aren't succeeding, I've always seen clearly that it's some kind of level of lack of self-worth that's going on, and that won't allow them to even believe and imagine, because imagination is far more powerful than knowledge. We know that they can't imagine themselves being a diamond with a big T. And so why? Because they don't feel they're worthy. So if you work on the self-worth, and that's the humans being more as well, of course, but also as a team leader, you have done that with people. I know I have too. And it's so beautiful because it is like being a mom. It's just like being a mom with your kids when they're little and going, well done, darling, that's amazing.
Yes.
And they're just taking that little step, maybe their first steps, literally, or, the drawing. And I love that story because that's so beautiful. Don't take things at face value. Go a little deeper. Find out what's going behind that idea. Yes.
So I'm thinking now that you asked, that I said my patchwork.
Yes.
And my art direction.
Yes.
And because one of the reasons I'm sitting here in front of this patchwork is because I used it for trainings some time ago, to show how I understood when I made that particular patchwork many years ago. I thought to myself, that's like building a Nikken business, because I had my vision. I had my vision of international business. I had my vision of helping a lot of people in the world. I have my vision of a lot of happiness and excitement. The same with the patchwork. I had my vision, but then I had to take it down to small pieces. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like in a business, a Nikken business, a Nikken team is made out of many, 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 many individuals, just as the patchwork. So I started with squares, which were made out of, each square was made out of tiny little pieces itself. Okay, like a team, a little team.
Yes.
Let's say a silver or a diamond. Then I had triangles, which are also made out of different pieces. And slowly, it doesn't happen fast. You need to build your skeleton. You need to build the structure. And then on top of it, there's another structure and another structure, and one is coming, and then they all come together. Mm-hmm. And they're not all fantastic. Some of the pieces faded in the sun, for instance. Okay, not everything goes as expected.
Yes.
And for me, it made so much sense how building a patchwork is like building a Nikken team.
Yes.
And another thing that I was thinking of is I had an incident that I remembered as an art director, because it's an interesting job. I'm the art director. I'm telling them how large I'm telling the illustrators how large what shape the artwork needs to be. Is it a full page? Is it a vignette? Where all the text goes and the flow of the whole book. But it's not my book. I'm building the structure for them. It's their book. Their name is going to be on the front page. It's their baby. Sometimes it can take months to do a 32-page book.
Yes.
And it's a project that will fill their life. It will be their baby.
Yes.
So I can't go and tell them, you do this and this and this and this, and you can't do this and you can't do this, and this isn't right. You can't come and do that. No. So I remember there was one illustrator who came with the first sketches. They were just pencil sketches for the whole book. And it didn't work at all. So I'm not going to say, well, that doesn't work. Just as you wouldn't for a consultant say, well, that doesn't work. You just say, see what you can do here. Try what you can do. You're dancing again.
Yes.
And I said, and I saw what the problem was on page 4. This is a 32-page book. From page 4 onwards, it didn't work. And I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to, without clipping his wings and his creativity? Because people are so connected to the artwork. If you say this does, they're always, then, oh, I can't do this. What will Dalia think about this? And what, you don't want these thoughts in their head. So on page 4, there was a woman with a baby, and they were facing the opposite way. They were facing, when you look at them, they were facing left, but we read left to right.
Yes.
And that was not the whole problem. But I saw what the beginning was. And I just said to him, I wonder what will happen if you flip this and she's looking at the direction of the text, of the writing. I said, well, that's easy. I can do that because it was all on layout paper, which was transparent.
Yes.
So he flipped it. And then I was just hoping that he will see what I'm seeing. And he's flipping it and he says, oh, that's better. And then he goes to the next page and says, oh, but that doesn't work anymore. No, that doesn't. And he got excited. But, oh, I can do this and I can do that and I can do that and I could do that. So he got so excited about what he could do that I put myself where I was the one who was showing him the way, yes? And I knew what he needed to do, but I didn't tell him.
I
wanted him to do it.
Yes. So he was inspired with his own ideas, and you were like the wind under his wings. So you weren't clipping his wings. You were just putting some wind there so he could fly better. Yeah.
And I think that really translates into Nikken also in a way.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yes, because people are so sensitive. We're also sensitive. And of course, in Nikken, we're like 75 to 80% women. And women are that much more sensitive than men. They usually think everything's their fault. We know this from the women's football or soccer, teams, that they have to coach them completely differently than the men.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they can't go to the woman and say, you messed up, you did this and that, whatever, what were you thinking? With a man, they can do that. They say, I'll do it better. But with women, they just shut down. So actually, there's a whole other way they did it to take the US team when they took them to the top, to the championships, was that the coach would every morning slip positive affirmations under their doors specific to them. You did such a great job, Dalia, passing the ball off yesterday. I saw you do it, And this is what gave them the confidence, because they were already doing the negative. So they needed an oppositional force to say, you did great and you did that so well. I would wonder maybe if you do a little more of this, it's going to be even better. And they'd be like, yeah, I could do that. Or like you did, you helped him get his own idea, so he had complete ownership of the idea.
Yes.
So that you weren't telling him what to do.
Yes. And it's a really fine line in Nikken because there are proven things that we know are right. Yes, you don't want people going inventing their will. On the other hand, it's keeping within the structure, giving people a lot of freedom. There is so much freedom of who you talk to and how you talk to them about, and there's so much freedom and creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think creative people are natural if they have the entrepreneurial spirit along, here's my voice now, along with their creativity, they need that entrepreneurial spirit of expansion, of taking risks, because we do take risks. There are risks, but the rewards are so great potentially. And I think the more you learn about this way of guiding, as you just explained, that's so beautiful, because then everybody together is moving to a higher level of vibration. Everyone together is moving to more joy and more happiness. And the happier they are, the more excited they are, the better they do, right? We know this. It's so much is about vibration and alignment with our greatest potential, our greatest timeline, we could say, our greatest destiny, why we're here on the planet at this very specific time, where right now we couldn't have a better time for Nikken than right now, because everybody is becoming more aware of self-care, taking care of themselves, that they have to take more ownership of self-care. They can't just give their power away to the medical profession or whatever. Not that we don't need it at times, but we have to do. So the awareness, the staying at home and working from home, the awareness of the joy of that, it's all coming. The awareness of self-employment, the awareness of the digital nomad, living somewhere else, but being able to work online to some extent. I was talking to someone yesterday about the digital nomad visas that are coming out in Europe. And I was like, so excited, like, that's fabulous. So that you can move to Spain or whatever and still do your business, and you pay Spain, taxes and everything there. But they're making it more available, so there's more flow between countries. So I think for us now, women, having no glass ceiling. I mean, you proved that, I proved that, the sky's the limit. Nobody tells you what you can and cannot earn. It is fantastic. It's like, to me, that was a revelation. I was like, wow, there's so much expansion. But of course it takes risk, because without risk, an entrepreneur would never move off the starting point. But yeah, so this is exciting, this genius within and empowering it in others to find their way, because I'm sure you found other leaders that you've helped have done it maybe a little similarly, but also a little differently from you. Would you say that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's all okay, isn't it?
Yes,
because so long as they're getting results.
Yes.
If they're getting results and people are getting helped with these technologies in this business, then it doesn't really matter how it's done.
Yes, as long as it's ethically. And
yes.
Of course, yes.
100% that. Thank you for saying that. I mean, ethics is critical in this business. If you're not working ethically, well, you lose the respect of everybody else.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's most important than the respect of our friends, do you know when Eric started, he was there in the background from the beginning. For instance, when I was thinking of purchasing all these products in order to put on people, it was my own idea. I didn't realize then later when I was talking to my Shiatsu teacher, who was my sponsor, she said, but that's how we all do it. It's like,
yeah.
I came up with this great genius idea, and she said, but that's how we all do it.
That's right.
And of course, she gave me the belt.
That's right.
So I was thinking, well, we don't have the money, And Eric says, but it's a business investment. Of course we can find it. It's a business investment. So I needed him to say that. Yes. But I remember later when he started being more and more involved, he said, we need to take a really good look in the mirror at ourselves and make sure that we never change, that we don't become pushy, that we don't, because sometimes with success or with excitement, you can become too pushy. And it was so clever of him to say that we don't want to change to the worst, to the better, of course, but not to the worst. Because you see people who, when somebody says, I'm not a good salesperson, really what it is about is, I don't like to push people to places they don't want to go. I don't like to tell people do things that they don't want, they resist.
Yes.
So, but that's not what we do. That's not what.
No, exactly. And I think there needs to be that sort of sense of urgency, because we know momentum's critical in the business, but not no pushing. Because pushing just creates resistance anyway, and who likes it? And women definitely don't like it. I know that. Most women I know, there's a few maybe, but most women just don't like to be that way. They don't want to be controlling of others. And that's what's so beautiful, is that everyone has their own sovereignty of being. They do, I have control over what I choose to focus on and how I choose to set my dreams and goals and everything. And then I ask for help. I think asking for help is huge. Asking for others' guidance and, especially those more successful. I know you did that. I know I've done that. I went to the top people, said, well, I want to be where you are. What is it you do? And I would ask them to help on three-way calls, especially. Three-way calls was where I learned everything. And I think three-way calls are so powerful, or three-way meetings on Zoom, or however people are doing it. It's being humble. It's that humility to say, well, I've never done this before. Can you help me? And the beautiful thing is that, of course, everyone wants to help everyone in Nikken. Why would you not want to help everyone?
You're also showing, if you're talking with somebody who is looking at maybe, I don't know if I want this business, but I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Instead of me talking, let's talk to somebody else. Let's talk to Julie. Let's talk to somebody else who's been there even longer than me, and see what they have to say about it.
Correct.
And then I take it away from me.
That's right.
And they hear a totally different point of view, but they also see, I can do that. If I don't know what to say to somebody, I can always ask somebody else to do it, to answer.
Yes.
So that's an easy thing to do.
Yes.
Dalia didn't need to be the one who knows everything.
Absolutely.
So I won't need to be the one who knows everything. There's always somebody who can answer questions.
So important. Gosh, Dalia, our time has flown by. I can't believe it. It's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I mean, I love you so much. You are so in my heart and dear to me. Yeah, just thank you so much for your time. I love you. You are always in my heart. Always.
Thank you. You too.
Yes. And it's just a pleasure to hear your wisdom, your true wisdom of your whole life experience, how you brought that into Nikken. Thank you for helping so many people with the products and the business. I know you still put products on people to this day. It's such a beautiful thing. Of course.
Yes.
And I think we have a great future to look forward to. I think our time is perfect right now. I see it in my mind's eye that, gosh, nobody quite offers what Nikken offers to the world to this day. Nobody has copied us, not with the whole wellness home concept and the humans being more and everything else. So I just hope that everybody has had a great time listening to this conversation with Dalia. And I think we might have lost her. She's in Israel. And thank you for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or Spotify. And of course on YouTube as well. Please do rate it with a 5-star rating. And please do share these podcasts with others, because everything we do in Nikken is about sharing. When you find a gift such as Nikken, it's just ethically not okay to not share. And that's just the way it is for all of us as human beings. When we find something magical and valuable and great for the world, it is incumbent upon us to share it. So that is what we do. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Dalia, so much for being with me. Have a great night. I know it's getting late your time, so have a great night and we'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Bye.